Everyone, and welcome to the Public Information Meeting presentation for the Development Agreement at PID 55224067 Greenfield Road in Gaspereau. My name is Perry Bowman and I am the planner for this application. The applicant is Vincent Dan Hartog and the councillor for District 9 is Peter Allen. So the purpose of this presentation is to inform the public of the application, to explain the planning policies that enable this application to occur, and to receive preliminary feedback, noting that no opinions have been formed on this application at this time. So this is the development agreement process. We have received a completed application from the applicant. A completed application consists of an application form and an application fee. We're currently at the public information meeting phase, which is pretty much one of the first steps in the application process. Following the public information meeting, staff will conduct a review. This involves requesting any additional information that is required, referring the application out to all relevant departments, and then putting together a recommendation report, which will be presented to the Planning Advisory Committee. Planning Advisory Committee will then review the information provided and forward a recommendation to the full Municipal Council at initial consideration. Following initial consideration, there is a public hearing. Prior to the public hearing, neighbouring properties within 500 feet will be notified by mail and a notice will be placed in the newspaper. Both the public hearing and the Planning Advisory Committee meeting are public meetings which the public can attend and ask questions or raise concerns. Following the public hearing is final consideration, where the Municipal Council will take a vote and make a decision. And following that decision, there is a 14-day appeal period. This is a map of the County of Kings, with the red circle indicating the approximate location of the subject site within the community of Gaspereau. This is an aerial image of the subject site. The subject site is approximately 7 acres in area and has approximately 315 feet of road frontage. The site extends in behind the dwellings that face Greenfield Road and is bound on the southern side by the Gaspereau River. This is another aerial image of the subject site. Access to the subject site is currently made by a right-of-way off of 2944 Greenfield Road. That right-of-way extends approximately 320 feet through the neighbouring property to the subject site. The subject site is also currently the home of an existing fishery business, with the two sheds shown on the image on the southern side of the property used as part of that fishing business. There is a horse barn on the northern boundary of the property. So in respect to the proposal, a development agreement is proposed to permit a tourist commercial use with up to 12 tourist cabins. The applicant has advised that there is the potential to stage the development, in that potentially only half of the cabins would be constructed to begin with the remainder of the cabins to be constructed at a later date. So this is the plan, or preliminary plan, showing the proposal. So at the moment only 11 cabins are shown on the screen, but there would be the potential, well, they've applied for the potential to have 12. So I'll jump to a bit more of a close-up here. This is a close-up of the preliminary plan showing 11 cabins off of a new accessway, which extends off of the existing accessway once inside the site boundary. A 40-foot setback has been placed on all of the cabins from the neighbouring residential dwellings. The oval shapes with a diagonal hatching indicate the approximate or predicted locations for a septic field, but further information is required before we can confirm the exact location of where a septic field may be. And the applicant has also indicated that there is the potential to have a path running down towards the Gaspereau River, but it is yet to be confirmed as to whether the applicants would propose to separate the fishing business and access to the river from the tourist operations, or whether there would be the ability for guests to access the Gaspereau River on this site. So this is a zoning map of the subject site showing that the site is located in the rural mixed use or A2 zone. The site is also partially covered by the environmental constraints O1 zone, which is shown in blue. So the A2 zone has a priority for agricultural uses, but does allow for a limited number of residential uses. The O1 zone or environmental constraint zone indicates that the land is prone to flooding or subject to erosion, and no further development is allowed within the O1 zone. So this is the future land use designation map. It identifies the land as being in the agricultural designation. So designation is a class of land that is identified as being intended for a specific purpose. So in this case, the overall general intended purpose of the land is agriculture. However, policy and regulations do allow for other permitted uses with consideration under the agricultural zone, and we can discuss that more in the rest of the presentation. So this is an image of the site taken looking down the accessway. In the distance you can see one of the sheds that is associated with the fishing business, and on the top right hand corner of the screen you can see the horse barn. This is standing at the end of that accessway looking again at the shed associated with the fishing business, and you can also see on the right hand side the access to the Gaspereau River. This is taken on the concrete pad with the infrastructure used for the fishing business looking at the Gaspereau River. This is an image taken at the crest of the hill looking down on the two sheds that are used as part of the fishing business. So this is standing at the crest of the hill looking at the rear of the dwellings facing Greenfield Road. Again, this is looking at the rear of the dwellings facing Greenfield Road and then looking further east to the vineyards in the paddocks beyond. This is looking west towards the Gaspereau Vineyard buildings as well as the dwelling on 2944 Greenfield Road. And then this is looking at the right-of-way access through to 944 Greenfield Road with the site on the left-hand side of the screen. So, what are development agreements? They are a legal contract between the municipality and the property owner. They enable uses that would not otherwise be permitted in a zone, places site-specific conditions on the location and the design of the development, and runs with the land until discharged by council. So in respect to policy, the Municipal Planning Strategy Policy 2.5.13 states that council shall consider only by development agreement within the agricultural designation, with the exception of the agricultural A1 zone, proposals for visitor-orientated developments not permitted as of right. In evaluating development agreements, council shall be satisfied that point A, the proposal is oriented to visitors or the travelling public, such as but not limited to lodging, restaurants, event venues, or other types of special attractions. The subject property has a lot area that can appropriately accommodate the proposed use, including any auxiliary uses, structures, parking areas, and required infrastructure. Point C, the site facilities are adequately buffered and or separated from surrounding residential dwellings, other than residential dwellings occupied by the operator, to mitigate negative impacts associated with light, noise, and other visual impacts. Point E, if the use is a listed permitted use, the conditions that prevent the proposal from being permitted as of right in the designation is addressed by development agreement, including but not limited to enhanced buffering and the positioning and design of buildings and structures. And in point F, the proposal meets the general criteria set out in section 5.3 development agreements and amending the land use bylaw. So in respect to the criteria that are part of Municipal Planning Strategy Policy 5.3.7, I will note that the county is not always the assessing authority for certain criteria, and that's where we would refer the application out to those relevant departments. So criteria 1, is the proposal consistent with the intent of the municipal planning strategy? Does the proposal conflict with any municipal or provincial programs, bylaws, or regulations? Is there any financial impact on the municipality? Typically, this would occur if there is a requirement to construct additional sewer or water mains or things of that nature. Are the land uses compatible? Is the site in adequate proximity to recreation and other community facilities? Would the proposal create traffic hazards or congestion? Is there adequate fire protection services and equipment available? Is there adequate water and sewer services available? Is there the potential for flooding or serious drainage problems? And is the site suitable? So once again, this is the development agreement process. We have received a completed application from the applicant, and we are currently at the public information meeting phase. So very early on in the process. Following the public information meeting, I will undertake a review, which requires me to request any further information required and refer the application out to any relevant referral departments. From there, I will put together a staff report and make a recommendation to the Planning Advisory Committee. The Planning Advisory Committee will review the relevant information and then make a recommendation to the full Municipal Council at initial consideration. Following initial consideration, there is a public hearing. Prior to the public hearing, properties within 500 feet of the subject site will be notified, and a notice will go in the local newspaper. Following the public hearing, there is final consideration where the full Municipal Council will make a decision on the application, and following that decision, there is a 14-day appeal period. Both the Planning Advisory Committee meeting and the public hearing are open to the public, where you can either attend in person or you can watch the video streams online. If anyone has any questions or comments, feel free to contact me at 902-690-6150 or pbowman@countyofkings.ca. Thank you.